inspired intention comes from this place of the infinite possibilities that you are. It comes from the place of who you are and the glorious abundance that you couldn't even think or imagine. Just think about that. You have this aim for it to manifest this way. But if you dissolve that reason behind it and allow yourself to just be and listen. Thanks for choosing the Finally Be podcast, your reminder to give yourself permission to embrace the divine disruptions. Open up your intuitive knowing and choose the life you really want. I'm Marci Grayson, and I'll be on this journey with you, sharing ways to elevate your awareness by living from your wholeness. This is your moment to choose your true you and finally be. Hey, welcome to the Finally Be podcast. I'm Marci, your intuitive resolve coach. I just wanted to jump on here real quick because I had a beautiful download today. And for those who don't know what downloads are, it's just, spirit just speaking into you and giving you an understanding, a deep knowing within yourself and revealing that to you. I really am shifting in my business and even in this podcast. I just started it and spirit is already showing me that I'm shifting into something that allows me to be more myself, and to enjoy being me and exposing all of me in this process. And the one thing that came to me years ago that I wanted to share today because it keeps coming up for me is inspiration, inspiring your intention, versus intention. And I know for a lot of people like me, when I first was introduced to setting intentions, I was in a Reiki class and I'm sitting there and I'm wondering what they're talking about because they're like, okay, set your intention. And didn't get real instruction about what that meant. It's just like, you know what the word intention mean? It means to have a target, a goal, an aim. So and go ahead and um just write that down so that we can continue with the class because intentions are important, right? And as I went along with this energy work, which I've always done, but now I had a place to get more direction. I've been getting to understand what they meant by that. They wanted you to speak and choose what your outcome will be, what your aim is, what the feeling behind the thing is, what the reason, the purpose for what you're doing, right? What you're wanting, okay? And so the one thing for me though, it never resonated with me. It never sat with me. And it was when I did my intention, I would really try hard to think about something to write down, and I would think about all these beautiful words because I love poetry and I'm a poet and things like that. And I would write these things down that I thought was my intention. And I would listen to other people's intention and I would think, did you do the same thing? you know? And I knew for them it was something different, but for me, I always took it like I would question it. I would wonder and ponder what that really was. What was the understanding behind intention? And so I began to read books and have examples brought to me, that, intention comes from, the root of your reasons, the deeper why, right? And as I moved along in this evolution of myself, I suppose, when Source began to open me up more, what was brought to me was the quantum states that we're in. And when we observe something, right, how we observe something is what the outcome would be. So even if you're trying to feel, think, or be a certain way, while doing something. But what's truly behind it is what would show up, right? And when I say what's truly behind it, I mean what's coming from your innermost being in that moment that you're holding on to, that you're allowing to be yourself. That's what's going to come out on the other end. And when you understand the pure purpose behind doing something, it shows up pretty quickly in your life. Um, one thing I realize when it comes to our families, we want to do these things to help protect the ones that we love. We do the real overt protection where hold your child's hand, don't let them run across the street, right? And then we do those subtle things of, sweetie, maybe you shouldn't talk to that person. They're kind of, you're thinking in your mind, they're kind of mean to you. And I want to protect you from that experience. And I don't want people to be mean to my baby. You know what I'm saying? When we really deep dive into that understanding and when we come from that intention of, I want to protect my family, but really the intention is the fear of what could happen, the negative circumstance that could arise from this experience they might have, right? So it comes from a fear of controlling the situation. It's come from a place of control. It comes from a place of needing this to happen this certain way, and then you wonder why that 4-year-old keeps running across the street or keeps running away from you or dashing out or don't want to hold your hand. And you're like, you keep child, you're getting put in these dangerous situations, and it's because of that fear. We're fearing that. And when it comes to our energetic field, it's no negative or positive. It's all it is energy that's been produced. And whatever our aim and focus is truly, what's really inside of us is what's going to keep coming out, what's going to keep showing up. I love the example of Oprah, where she was talking about how she would just give and give and give. She loved to do things for people, but it's because she would give her time, she would give her money, she would give to everybody. And even when she didn't want to, she would just keep giving it. She would sit there and wonder, um, she would wonder, why are they coming back over and over and over? Why do they keep coming back when I gave them what they wanted? I gave them my time, I gave them my space, I gave them my money. Why do they keep coming back when that need that they asked for was fulfilled, but they keep coming back? What She started to wonder what that is. And she said she had to sit with herself and sit with, her being in God and recognize her real reason was she wanted to be nice, right? She wanted to show up being the nice person. So what happens? People come back to the nice person who won't say no, right? And it's not because their intention is to be mean, it's because, hey, you're the nice one. You're going to say yes to me. You're going to help me out. And this is the expression that she wanted. She didn't recognize that her having that unclear intention for her life and for the things that she did and how she gave that came from, I want to be seen as being nice. So it produced more and more experiences of her being nice, right? Um, Another thing that comes up for me, and I love my brother and how he puts things when he talks about nutrition. Um, he says this statement. He says, so why are you eating that? Really? He's so gentle with it. He asks you, why are you eating the food that you're eating? Because again, he's about health and wellness and having the right mindset behind what's coming into your body. Even how you speak to your food or speak at your food or speak around your food. And the thing is, that's something that a lot of people don't think about is what is the pure intention behind putting this food in my mouth? Some people, it may be because they like the taste of good things. They like how things taste, and so they eat more and more of that. Other people, they're eating it because they're feeling some kind of emotional need. Other people, they're really truly eating it just to get the nutrients and the minerals from it. Trust me, I see my brother eat some stuff. I'd be like, ugh, you eating that? It's all raw. But it's because my brother's intention when it comes to food is really solely to nourish his body. There are times where he does want something to taste good and he will do what he want to do for that. But he thinks he intentionally, consciously eats when he brings food to his mouth. And so it's posed this question: how do you come from inspired intention versus intention? Because when I think about when I've been brought into this place of knowing that inspired intention is remembering who you are and allowing your being to do as it does. When your intention comes from that place, it opens up a door for you to see your manifestation arise in a way that is more in line with what you want. So there are some steps that was kind of brought to me. The first thing I would do for myself is, number one, look at what is manifesting in my life. When I set out to do something, when I have an aim or a goal, what is manifesting at the end of that? What is the outcome? How does that make me feel when it comes to fruition? And what am I thinking about it? That's the first thing. Well, this has occurred. How am I thinking about this? Does it sit right with me? Is this what this is what I really wanted? you know, then what I do, the second thing is notice what you get from it, right? Going into that, is this what I really wanted? Is this what I was intending to get from this experience? Did I receive what I set forth to receive when I put that out there? Right? The third thing that I try to do is go to source. And I know that's number 3. What's up with that? I'm just talking about some of the steps that I'm going through, after it's happened or things like that. I would ask source, what was your vision for that? You know, a reverse could be to go to source first and ask, what's your intention for this? And again, that's a deeper way of going about your life, is recognizing to go to source God, to the universe, to your guide, to see exactly what direction, what it is that you're looking to happen in your life in regards to the thing that you're wanting, you know. Um, and then the last step, that I undertake is, I think step 5 is align. How does this align together? This is aligned with what source has reminded me of or brought to my attention. Was what I wanted in alignment, or what my attention was in alignment with what source was bringing to me? Does it match up? Does it add up? Can you see that? Can you feel into that? Um, so those are some pieces that I look at when I'm looking to go beyond just intention. But you know what? There's something deeper. There's another level to this that was so inspiring to me. And this is something I would usually teach my clients, because this is kind of what I do. It's dissolving your meaning, your need, your reason behind what you're doing, behind what you're wanting, dissolving the meaning of the direction that you want. Instead of looking at what you want, dissolve the meaning behind that. and go to source and ask source within its vision of who you are to the fully being everything that you are. What does that look like? For example, when I used to um come from a place of wanting to be appreciated, but really I was coming from a place of wanting to be cared about. I wanted people to show me that they care for me, you know? And when I would do that, I would do things like Oprah said. I would just give my time, you know. I would be available. I would a lot of times I would, you know, be very accommodating. Some other people would say I was a little bit of a pushover or I got taken advantage of, but I did all of this intentionally because I wanted to be cared about. I knew exactly what I was doing and why I was doing it, why I allowed what I did. And, you know, if somebody needed something, I was there to get it from them. Hey, you about to have a party? Let me help you decorate. You know, even if I didn't have time to do that. I was that person that you could call on if you wanted to. And if you didn't call on me, I'll show up because that was a part of me feeling that was my definition of what being cared about. It was actually to be included. I wanted to be included. And that's what I thought at a young age that's what being cared about is being included because I was always that person outside looking in. And so when I began to notice that and notice that when I was included, I didn't get the feeling that I thought I would get from being included. Because let me tell you something. People can include you, which you already noticed, right? People can include you and still not care that you're a part of that inclusion, you know, and part of that experience. Or you might not feel the care because it's not showing up the way that you have defined caring to look like. So it's not always even that that person is doing something. Most likely they're not. Is really how you're defining that moment, what your perspective is, how you're looking at it. And so for me, it was being included. And then when I realized that I still wasn't being fulfilled in that way, I just still didn't feel cared about. I had to go back and and think about what that really was for me. So when I finally got with Source and with all of that, as I began to get older and coming into the unfolding of who I am, um, and when Spirit speaks, it speaks plainly, simply. And the one thing that Spirit would tell me is, did you look at your meaning? The words that you're using, why this word has a feeling for you, and this is what is being created in your life, you know? Um, and so Source began to dissolve the meaning behind my stories. A lot of times it was the pain behind my stories that was getting dissolved. Um, and so I didn't have that same attachment. So it was really moving into a place of non-attachment so that spirit, God, source could just be, you know, and I was allowed to be fully myself and fully who I knew I was. And it began to get revealed more and more and more to me. Um, and that's what it is. It's just that. It comes from a place of allowing, and not just allowing, but it comes from a place of the unknown. Because when you don't have the expectation, when you don't have, it has to be like this, or this is the outcome that needs to happen, or this is not that you don't make a choice, because that's one of our principal powers is making a choice, but having inspired intention comes from this place of the infinite possibilities that you are. It comes from the place of who you are and the glorious abundance that you couldn't even think or imagine. I love that scripture about that coming from that place of something that you couldn't even think or imagine. Just think about that. You have this aim for it to manifest this way. But if you dissolve that reason behind it, if you dissolve how the outcome should look, if you dissolve all of that and allow yourself to just be and listen. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. I love speaking with you guys today. It was so fun. Um, this is just one area that I'm just really allowing spirit to bring it up inside of me, and I want to share these downloads that I've been getting over the years, and I believe that's the direction that I'll be going in. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
Hey, if you or somebody you know are ready to deep dive into the mindset and energetics behind elevating your vibration on what we talked about today, hit me up so we can connect and get you started with that one-to-one coaching program. It's a beautiful service and I would love to work with you. And remember to choose your true you. Start living from your wholeness because you're the key to the life you really want. This is the Finally Be podcast.